Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miss Nishi. Good afternoon, classmates. Hi, everyone. I am Mary Joy S. Kakilala, together with Miss Eliza Rochitlim and Shawnee Logan from Group 7. So for today's discussion, we are going to explain and tackle about the insight theory of learning by Gestalt. Let us all learn more about this theory and its law, also in knowing how to apply it in real life situations. So please connect. So as you can see on the screen, we have there the three psychologists. First, we have Max Wertheimer. So does anyone of you here know Mr. Max Wertheimer? Because if not, then I'll be introducing him to all of you. So did you know that Max Wertheimer founded that Gestalt movement and became the first Gestalt psychology? So you should remember that Max Wertheimer was one of the famous and is one of the principal proponents of Gestalt theory who found figures of the school thought known as the Gestalt psychology. And he also emphasized higher other cognitive processes in the midst of behaviorism. And along with Max Wertheimer, we have other psychologists that also had influence on this school of psychology, and it is Wolfgang Kohler, who connected Gestalt psychology to the natural sciences, and Kurt Kafka, the founder of the field, who applied the concept of Gestalt to child psychology. So too much for this, and let me proceed to the next slide. What is Gestalt theory all about? So next, the German word Gestalt can be translated to means form, pattern, configuration, and this configuration or pattern offers an organization to perception which the individual experiences. So what do we mean by this? What do we mean by form or the configuration? So form means to begin or to begin to exist or kanang to make something begin. And in Gestalt theory, it aims to explain how the eyes perceive shapes as a single, united form rather than the present, I mean the separate, simpler elements. And later on, you will get to know the different principles in Gestalt theory, and karon ato sa ning kanang ila-ilahon og sabton si Gestalt theory kay later it will be discussed by my members. Okay, next. The theory emphasizes that the whole of anything is greater than its parts. Okay, so Kurt Kafka rephrased this quotation as the whole of anything is greater than its parts. So what do we mean by this, or what do we mean by this quote? Unsa may kanang pasabot jud ani niya. So pasabot ani niya, one cannot understand the part of something to understand the things as a whole. Like for example, a vehicle. So wala na siya kanang value unless if they were combined to create a car. So the whole of anything is greater than its part, another thing. So also Max Wertheimer argued that we in fact perceive the whole dog first. So only once if we have seen the dog, we cannot see the individual parts it consists of. And other example, so imagine if kanang naglakaw ka sa highway no, or maskin asa ka, yan, nakabantay ka kanang naiiro. Unsa man ang first thing nga manotice nimo? Kanang maka-perceive ba kag kanang hala naitiil? The dog's ears, maka-perceive ba ka sa ilang lawas or ulo, or nakakita tag iro, maka-identify ba dayon ta, or makaingon tag kanang kani nga hayop kis kanang feel ako kani siya nay ulo, nay upat ka tiil, nay ikog. Feel ako iro ni siya. Okay. Kaya naman siya characteristic ani, makatawag yun siya nga ero. Di ba, dili? Kay when you see a dog, automatically, maka-identify da yung tanga. Okay, that's a dog. And if I were to relate it into what Sir Logic told us before, I'd still remember, nga gipangutan namin niya ang kanang kuan, what makes a dog unique? So, some answers nga, kuan sir, a dog unique is because of it kanang its wag its tail na ay upat ka tiil daw, apoy kanang muwag iyang tail basta na iyang amo kanang grabe daw ilang senses kanang dali ka sila makasimhod, but literally what makes a dog unique is because of its dogginess. And as I said, we cannot perceive a dog because of its features, but tungod kay iro siya, maong iro jud na siya. Kay if ballpen na siya, then ballpen na siya. And that is what Kurt Kafka in his quotation trying to expound. Next. It focuses on the perception on how people assign meanings to visual stimuli. So from the word perception, no, it is our sensory experience of the world. Like from the word sensory, kanang sense of taste, sense of kanang sight, sense of hear, like inana. So it is through this experience ka makagain tag information about what is happening or to the environment around us through the light that enters our eyes. Like it is our ability to perceive our surroundings through the visual perception of colors, patterns, and outcomes. Okay, next. It focuses on the idea of grouping. So from the word grouping, it is a set of people acting together with common interests or purpose. And in Gestalt theory, it is human nature to group things together. So they are visually grouped regardless of their proximity and grouped by colors, shape, or sizes. And next, Gestalt theory was the initial cognitive response to behaviorism. So as what I have mentioned, Gestalt theory also emphasized higher other cognitive processes in the midst of behaviorism. Di ba, sa akong mga na-mentioned lang kaganiha, Gestalt psychology has influenced how we study persons, perception, and sensation. So not only that, dili lang kay kana, but somehow it also increases our understanding of how a person cognitive processes influence the way tanga mo behave socially. So that is why the Gestalt theory was the initial response to the behaviorism. Next. The Gestalt theory is a theory of learning that focuses on the mind's perspective. And yes, na-explain po ako ganihan, no? Ako lang na-mention nga, ang main objective dyan aning Gestalt theory is all about the person's awareness, freedom, minds, like the way a person use their senses, and they gain information about the world around them, like self-direction that focuses on the present moment rather than the past experiences. So in short, the Gestalt theory is more on the ability of a person to help individuals understand concepts better. So by understanding concepts, makabaton ta or makasabot ta or makagain kag insight sa imong surroundings, and that you will become aware of the things that is around you. So the next last two sentence. Wertheimer was especially concerned with problem solving. Wertheimer provides a Gestalt interpretation of a problem-solving episodes, a famous scientist, which is Galileo Einstein, as well as children presented with mathematical problems. Make it short but clear, Max Wertheimer also believed traditional logic stimulating thinking, and he also used some concrete examples to illustrate his principles. So what are the main Gestalt principles man? So unsa man ni siyang mga different principles ni Gestalt, and that you will learn or makibaw na mo in the next slide. So please go next slide. So there are 6 primary factors or 6 individual principles associated with Gestalt theory, but ang amo ang gi-highlight lang ay ang 4 really interesting principles of Gestalt theory. So the Gestalt principles, basically, it's seek to explain how we perceive and view things the way we do. So it will be explained. The first law of principle will be discussed by Miss Eliza Lim.
Thank you for that, Miss Mary Joy. So the first primary factors of Gestalt theory is the proximity. So elements tend to be grouped together according to their nearness. In proximity, guys, if the things are closer, they are more relevant than the things that are far away. In simple words, it is the closeness or nearness of a thing. For example, is standing next to someone. Standing next to someone, like the state of being near, like sa physically or sa space or time, or kanang if kanang naka sa sofa galingkod, and then uhaw ka, you need water, but tapulan ka mo barog, and the near nimo nga drink is juice. So imong kwaon kay ang juice kay just because it is near, pero need jud ang water. So the next one is similarity. Items similar in some aspects tend to be grouped together. We tend to realize that it is the same, like sa atuang mga past na naibaw-an sa una bitaw. For example, kay kanang nakatok like recently lang, and you guys kay nakatok sa birthday, like na siya. My birthday is on November 1, like makanahon na din ka. Hala, same sila birthday sa akong miga. Or kanang favorite color, inga na, like kanang black sa diyang favorite color, just like you. And kaning for parehaning nasa picture, which kaning similarity, similar siya kanang awa line sa circles, line sa squares, iyang row, like same jud siya, similarity kay iyang kaparihas. So the next one is closure. Items are grouped together if they tend to some entity. When we look at a complex arrangements of visual elements, we tend to look for single recognizable patterns. So our brain more likely perceive forms and figures sa ilang complete appearance, and bisag bisag na siya mga missing parts kay we still perceive it as whole. For example, kanang circle, like i-draw ang circle pero latang-latang. Na siya mga spaces, and ang mga lines na missing kay dili siya makita, dili siya visible sa papel or sa kanang laptop or bisag asa nag-draw na. Pero bisag dili siya whole, makakuan Japon ta, our brain will still perceive at as circle. So example sa dana kay kaning naa sa picture, kaning letter T nga broken line. So sa pagtan-aw pa lang nato no, makakuan jud ang letter T jud na siya. So the last primary factor is the simplicity. Items will be organized into simple figures according to symmetry, regularity, and smoothness. So kanang simplicity. For example, kanang mga tutag hotel, like mostly sa mga hotel kay fancy kay lang mga couch, ilang sofa, like kanang detailed kaayo, and kanang mga kuan. Klaro jud kay like gold baron iyang made of gold baron siya or unsa, pero we still think nga kana sofa is sofa, bisag unsa pa na ka fancy, bisag unsa pa na ka mahal, sofa Japon na lingkuranan, Japon na lingkuran Japon tao. So nga na simple ra. We see things in simplest form, and our mind will draw interpretations as well. That is all for my part. Let's proceed to the next reporter, which is Miss Shani Laron.
Okay, thank you. So those primary factors stated a while ago are called the laws of organization, specifically the law of proximity, law of similarity, law of closure, and law of simplicity. So na-elaborate naman clearly ni Ms. Eliza and Mary Joy. So all in all, laws of organization holds that when you're presented with a set of ambiguous or complex objects, or simply what we call lisod, your brain will make them appear as simple as possible. Next. So moving on to the scope and application, the Gestalt theory applies to all aspects of human learning, although it applies most directly to perception and problem solving. The work of Gibson was strongly influenced by Gestalt theory. Next. Moreover, there are also educational implications we can imply, such as 1. The teacher should present the subject matter as a whole to facilitate, insight learning. 2. Use of fumbling, and mechanical trial and error should be minimized. 3. While planning the curriculum, Gestalt principles should be given due consideration. A particular subject should not be treated as the mere collection of isolated facts. It should be closely integrated into a whole. 4. Teachers should motivate the child by arousing his or her interest and curiosity. So as educators, we are tasked to motivate sa mga students na makatabang nila na mas mudako pa ilang interest and curiosity sa mga butang. 5. It has made learning intelligent tasks requiring mental abilities instead of automatic response to the specific stimuli. So the learner must be given opportunities for using his mental abilities, which means ang students di ay kay makapractice nila, ang ilang thinking skills or mental abilities sa particular na butang. Next. Learning tasks must be properly graded accordingly to the intellectual development of the learner. Di ba, as teachers, muhatag man tag-task sa mga bata, so it should be properly graded accordingly. Dili man ta angay magbutbut sa unsa ihatag na grade sa atong bata kay it is one of their basis man na they are doing great sa klase. So if ato silang graduhan og dako, then ang ilang task nga gibuhat kay dili enough, makahuna-huna sila og okay ra siguro dili ko mo effort kay dako bitaw gihatag si ma'am. So, inaana pa lang nga case, dapat jud nato graduhan sila og unsang effort ilang nabutang sa ilang task. 7, in order that the learner will be able to solve problems by insight, meaningful learning by understanding and reasoning must be encouraged at school. So, sa eskwelahan dyan siya magkuan. Like, sa eskwelahan, di ba? Di ba, kita man lang second parents. So, encourage na to ang mga bata, then maka-learn sila meaningfully. Next. Since the insight depends upon the previous experience of the learner, the teacher must help learner recall what has been learned earlier and relate them to the new learning. Kabantay mo, nagamit diri ang assimilation and accommodation. Ang previous na experience sa student, makatabang o magamit to niya nga understanding para i-relate to sa bagong learning. So those are the 9 educational implications. So moving on to the examples. Next. There are 2 examples. Number 1, the classic example of Gestalt principles provided by Whitmer is children finding the area of parallelograms. As long as the parallelograms are regular figures, a standard procedure can be applied, making lines perpendicular from the corners of the base. However, if a parallelogram with a novel shape or orientation is provided, the standard procedure will not work and children are forced to solve the problem by understanding the true structure of the parallelogram, as what you can see in the diagram rather. Tanawan ninyo. So, maghuna-huna jud ang mga bata na unsaon man ni so mag-solve jud sila anga jud nila sabton. So, okay? Let's go to the example number 2. When we see 5 different types of birds and 5 different breeds of fish, then we would still group them as birds and fishes. So in other words, ang isda, ang nature sa fish is its fishness, na makalangoy siya. And when we would not classify them as birds, kay dili man na nature sa fish ang mulupad, di ba? Wala jud mo kitag isda nga nilupad, kuya warasan. Well, ang nature sa bird is its birdness. Makalupad siya, di ba? Then bisag unsa pa na siya nga breed, eagle ba or dove ba or like goryon, we would classify them as birds. Dili na to isagol ang dove sa fish, oy, dili na makalangoy, and vice versa. Okay, so next. So, okay, in the principles, there are 3 principles. Number 1, the learners should be encouraged to discover the underlying nature of the topic or problem, the relationship among the elements. Number 2, gaps, incongruities, or disturbances are an important stimulus for learning. Next. Instruction should be based upon the laws of organization, like katong gipang state ganiha, katong law of proximity, law of closure, law of similarity, and law of simplicity. So, okay, I think that's it. Miss Mary Joy?
Okay, thank you, Miss Shirley, for that. Thank you, Miss Eliza, for explaining to us also. So I think that we have thoroughly explained everything including the laws, the principles, the scope or application, and to what is the insights and the three proponents of the Gestalt theory. So I hope now that you have learned something from our discussion today. And if you have any clarifications and questions, just please don't hesitate to ask any of my members, Eliza Lim or Johnny Loron. I guess that would be all. Thank you and God bless you all.